everybody, and welcome to another episode of And Now You Know with Betty and Julz. I'm Betty.
And I'm Julz.
And today we're going to be talking about worries, fears, and distractions.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say, everybody, we're not doctors, we're not therapists, we're not psychiatrists, psychologists, none of that. We're just two women who have had the good fortune of finding each other, and we are rolling through this life together, and we have figured out a way to design our lives and have fun. And through our conversations over the years, we decided to start sharing some of the bumps that we've been through, some of the fun times, just hard times, just life. We just wanted to share those experiences. So worry, fear, and distractions has been one of my greatest enemies. It is a thief of joy. It's a thief of time. It's a thief of being who you are. I just fully believe it is one of the enemy's, I call him the devil, enemy's best ways to distract you and get you flatlined to where you can't get out there and serve other people.
And keep you down.
Oh, if he can keep you down, then, if he can keep you from letting your light shine, he's got you exactly where he wants you. One of my favorite scriptures, a good friend of my mom's gave it to us right after my dad died, and it's from the book of Philippians, and it says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything, and don't forget to thank God for his answers." God doesn't answer you always in your time frame, but if you can just calm down. If you've got a negative thought that comes into your mind, replace it instantly. You're in charge of what you let roll through your head.
Yeah.
So if you wake up and you're in a bad mood, change it.
Yeah, and
start saying different things to yourself until you lift yourself up. Or go take a walk, or don't let it take you over, because it will.
Yeah, that's the point of this episode, is that we are talking about we can never say that our life will be 100% free of worry or fear or distraction. But what we want to say is that the quicker that you can switch it, and you do that by strengthening yourself, by number one, surrounding yourself with really great people. And we do that for each other. And sometimes, we're both overthinkers and we're both worrywarts. And so really what those things are, they're not even real. They're not and what they're doing is they're taking so much energy and so much time away from us focusing on solutions and the things that can help us and move forward and grow and have a great, rich life. So what we want to say is, let's figure out a way, and we do that for each other, where we encourage each other. Sometimes she's talking me off a ledge, sometimes I'm talking her off a ledge, but what we're doing is we are trying to create an opportunity for each other where you can express yourself and say whatever you need to say, but have a quick response time to getting yourself right back on track.
Yeah, I have spent so much time and if you let that worry and fear go too deep inside of you, it will, you will be stopped in your tracks.
Yes.
You will get so stuck that that's when it gets hard to shift it and get back up on your feet. And the crazy thing about worry and fear and distractions is that the majority of those things that you're sitting there fretting over don't even come close to fruition or passing.
Well,
they just don't. It's
and
all
they never happen. They never happen. They never will happen. It's so crazy. It's so crazy how we kind of fool ourselves. We trick ourselves into letting this fake thing consume so much of us. And this happened to me just a few days ago, where I was spiraling. I felt like I was spiraling about something that really didn't even matter at all. It didn't matter at all.
Well, and I was spiraling for the last 6 weeks, because I'm like, oh my God, what if this happens, Betty? What if this doesn't happen? What? And she's sitting here trying to say, just let the universe bring this to you and to us. And I'm trying to cram something into my life to make it work. And the more that I push, the more anxiety and the more fear and the more doubt and just all, and I literally, in my mind, I can see the devil laying in the floor, belly laughing, and it makes me mad. So it's like, get thee behind me, Satan, in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I will tell you that we talk a lot about trusting your gut, and along the way, when you pause and stay still for 1 second, you actually learn how to make it get louder, right? So that you can really fully understand that, like, okay, that's not the right turn. I need to go in this direction. And what I learned this probably about, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe like 8 to 10 years ago, but I'm not exactly sure. A really good friend of mine, I remember I learned this from him when he said to me that whenever he feels anxiety or confusion, or he's just, not sure what way to go, he's like, I just pause and I don't do anything at all.
Yep.
And at first that made me think, like, you don't do anything, and I'm thinking, like, I'm constantly in the mode of doing something.
Right.
But honestly, that right there, that constantly in the mode of doing something is really not good, because you are in such a rush to do things. And let me tell you, that has come back to bite me in the ass, and it's not good, because you end up doing things. My other friend says, haste makes waste.
It does.
And it's true that when you are in an impulsive mode, or when you are quick to react and you didn't first check in with yourself, you end up making the wrong decision. And I'm telling you, I probably did that throughout my entire 20s and 30s.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't do that stuff anymore. And when you do pause for a moment, even if you think, or somebody else thinks, you're taking too long to respond, no, don't let anybody push you into making a decision that you're not ready to.
Some people are really uncomfortable with silence.
Yes.
I mean,
learn to embrace silence.
Yes. I mean, if you are talking to somebody and you ask them a question, don't start talking just because there's dead air.
Yeah.
Let them think.
That's a skill. I've learned that.
You have to.
That is a skill. That is a skill. It is actually really awesome, because, we're in sales, and a lot of times people say, he who speaks first loses. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, that's actually true. If you can just literally stop whenever you're having a thought of worry, whenever you're having a thought of anxiety, and all of those things are coming to your mind and they're clouding you and they're making you want to just rip your skin off.
Yes.
Just pause for a moment and just stay still. And honestly, you have to be uncomfortable for a minute until you really learn to kind of master it. But it is so important to allow yourself the time to make the right decision. Don't make the fastest decision. Make the right decision.
Yeah. I know. When I, as a single mother, my worry would always hit me at about 3:00 in the morning, when it's dark and it's cold and you're alone and it's scary, and I would lay there and think, what if I lose my job and I can't pay for this roof over my kids' heads? What if I can't buy food? What if I can't do this? What if I can't, instead of what if I can? And, they're like, start counting sheep, or, do something to get your mind off of it. And so I started just saying, I trust you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus. And where you speak his name, then the enemy has to flee. He can't be in the room. That's just how I have dealt with it. Yeah. And then my mind, when I was focused on something good, like Jesus, he's where I run to, then the questions would run through my mind. Do you have everything that you need today? And then I realized how blessed I was.
Yes.
Because I had more than enough for that day and well into the future. And I'm not the type to just sit on my booty and wait for that moment to come when I don't have it.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And so the Holy Spirit reminded me, what are you doing? Stop it.
It's so true. And that happens to me too. And when I know, when I feel all that coming on, I literally will pause for a moment. And then I literally say out loud in my house, God help me. God, guide me.
Yes.
Tell me what the next right step is. I never used to do that stuff, and I used to get myself in so much trouble because I would commit to doing things. I would
Yes.
overextend myself, and I would not be pausing and listening and waiting, and I wouldn't think things through in the past. And it's funny, I have a 16-year-old daughter who recently got a job, and she's worried about everything. She's worried about getting fired because a customer, said something, whatever. She works in a fast food, place.
First job. So
First
proud.
job.
Shout out.
I know. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. But she's worried about, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if, and she's constantly worried about being fired. And she's been there like 4 weeks. And I'm like, you're not going to get fired. And I said to her, and if you do, who cares?
Right.
Find another one.
What if you do?
Yes. Instead of thinking about all the things that can go wrong, which is normally where we go to,
Right.
instead replace it with, well, wait a minute. What if it's awesome? What if it goes well? And what if I meet somebody there that then opens doors for me and creates a whole other opportunity that I didn't even think would happen? Like if you're gonna give yourself all these stories of worry, why not feed it with stories of all this awesome possibility and opportunity that can actually come into your life? Why not?
And honestly, sometimes some of those worst case scenarios did happen, but as they played out, it ended up being the greatest gift and blessing of my life because what's the saying? God's protection or rejection is God's protection.
Or same as also redirection. Same thing.
Right, redirection.
Is God's protection.
So you just have to embrace all the different things that life gives to you. I started to say throws at you. I don't want to say throws. It's what life gives you. And you also have to go look in the mirror and realize who you are and what you're capable of. And if you're not there yet, then figure it out and start working on you. And I know that we've all got childhood trauma and we've got all this stuff that builds up and builds up and builds up, but it's not here anymore.
Right.
You're just allowing it to still control your life when you can let it go. And was it you that I was talking, probably, because I don't really talk to I don't talk to anybody else.
All of our conversations are
but it's like if you are going to blame your parents for the bad stuff.
I said that in like episode 1.
Then you have to thank them for the good stuff, even if that is just that they gave you life.
Right.
If that's it,
Yes.
then you have been given this gift of life, and it is your choice to decide what you want to do with it. It can be hard. I had to start working when I was 14 years old.
Me too. Yeah.
And
out of necessity.
Now, one of the things that brings anxiety up to me is if I'm not working, if I'm not busy. But I like to have my own money. I like contributing to our family. I like paying for vacations, and it's crazy, but I love thinking about what I'm going to cook for dinner, and I like being able to go to the grocery store and get whatever I want and then go cook something yummy for my husband.
And that's true. We're both the same way where, we're doers, we're workers. We just do. And we constantly, and the reason why is because we are extremely resourceful because we had to be.
Yep.
And so that is just now our programming and our wiring. But what we have to be careful of is that we're constantly doing, and it's still okay to rest. It's okay to pause for a moment. And that's, when I have any kind of anxiety over providing for my kids and they're getting older, or the mortgage or whatever.
College is coming up.
And then, the stock market just dropped a bunch the other day. And so, there's all this stuff that happens and there's all this noise. And I have to take myself back and say, we're great today.
Yes.
We have everything we need today. We have an amazing house. We eat every day. We don't have a shortage of anything. We are so blessed. I'm so grateful. And you know what? I always say to myself, everything is always working out for me. Mm-hmm. And I always have more than I need. I always have more than I need.
Know.
And this is where the magic is. The magic is to train your brain to always go to the place where you think about abundance, you think about God's grace and God's blessings. If you can take yourself right in the split second when you have a fear or a worry about what if, and it's negative, replace it with, I'm protected.
Yes.
Everything always works out for me. I always have more than I need. God knows exactly what I need, and whatever door he closes, he has another door or another window that's ready to open for me.
It's so cool. I was just telling a gal at church on Sunday morning. She was struggling with something, and I said, it's interesting that this is coming up. And if you give yourself time to be quiet and still, then you have an ability to give nurturing words to people.
Yeah.
And I said, I was worrying really bad about just things. I was making up stuff to worry about in my own mind. And God said, do you remember when you were a little girl and you were with your dad and y'all were fishing, or you were just at the auto parts store with him and he was working on a car, or y'all were going to get an ice cream cone? Did you ever worry about anything?
Yeah.
About your safety, about who? Did you think about who was going to pay for that ice cream cone? Did you think about who was providing this home for you? And the answer was, no.
Never.
As long as I was with him and I could see him, I was happy and I felt safe and secure. And God said, I'm better.
Aww.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've just been like,
yeah. Now look, let's just be honest. Every day, this is a choice, and this is a constant reminder.
Yep.
Sometimes we forget and we slip up, and then we have a day of where we're chasing our own tail. But the point is to get back to that place of that moment. Stabilize. Because it's
getting charge of your mind.
Yes, we're
and
human.
Start thinking.
We're human, and we live this life that throws all these things at us, and it's not perfect, and it's not all rainbows and butterflies. But I think these things happen to us. They're kind of learning opportunities for us to remember that we're supposed to go back to that place.
Yes.
And one of my favorite quotes is, the fastest way to get somewhere is slowly.
Oh.
And that kind of reminds you to slow down and smell the roses and enjoy the people that are in your life and enjoy the sunshine. I'll tell you, I love walking.
I do too.
Everybody knows this, I am a tube top wearing.
She loves it.
Hot.
Hot. She's in the right place.
Yes, 85, 90, 95 degree weather.
She doesn't like it 110.
I don't like it 110, but so anywhere between 80 and 95, I'm good. If I can wear a tube top, because I hate tan lines, if I can wear a tube top and if I can be outside and the sun is shining and I love my neighborhood and I'm just walking and I'm usually listening to a podcast. Sometimes I'm listening to our podcast because they're so good. Sometimes I'm listening to literally ours, or I do have some other great podcasters, or I'm listening to Audible, but I am as happy as can be, and I have no worry. I don't care about anything going on. I don't worry about distractions. I am just walking and breathing and thanking God. Literally, those are the moments where I'm thanking God for air. I'm thanking God for my legs. I'm thanking God for my home. I'm thanking God for my safety, my neighborhood. I live in a place that I love.
Yes.
We live in a world. We live in a world. Well, I mean, I guess maybe not everywhere in the world, but we in Texas and where we are, we're safe. We're safe. I can walk outside. I can walk in my neighborhood. I have an elementary school in my neighborhood, and I can hear the laughter of the children. It's like,
fun.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I walk by our elementary school too every morning.
Yeah.
And I've got my dog, and he's a big old drooling lab, and the kids just love him, and it's so fun.
There's
so much to look around and be thankful for.
There is.
So if you're wallowing in worry, fear, distractions, self-pity, any of those things, you have a choice to stop.
You do.
And I know there's pain in this world, and there's pain in this life, and there's time for healing. And you could be listening to this right now going, but you don't understand what I've been through.
Oh, but we do.
But
yeah,
but more than likely, in my own personal life, I can't think of a scenario that somebody could be going through that I haven't gone through.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought of one. So, but I mean, like, I'm talking deep things like sex trafficking and dark things.
Okay, maybe one. But between the two of us, I think we've, gone through a lot. And I think that, in that time of worry and anxiety and all of that, what we want is, just to be able to like offer love and support and to inspire and to help shift it. Because I am a big believer. You said this the other day. I am a big believer, like, life isn't happening to you, right? It's happening for you.
Right.
And really, you do have to take a moment to pause and kind of like look inward. And you got to like dig through all that. And there's healing that usually has to happen. If there's a lot of worry and anxiety and all this kind of stuff and you're spiraling in life, more than likely it's probably like a sign to say, look inward and slow down.
Yeah.
And slow down and let's figure out what that is.
Well, just try to be in the moment. I remember one day my eldest son and I were, he was crossing over into adulthood. And we were eating sushi at our favorite restaurant. And I was sitting there it was before I knew you. I was talking fast and I was talking about, things that had happened in the past. And I was talking about things that I was concerned about in the future.
Are you talking about Zach?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was just looking at me, not saying anything. And then he just reached across the table and he put his hand on mine and he said, Mom, be here with me right now.
Zach is very wise.
Oh my gosh, he's just incredible. He's so incredible. And he said, Mom, just don't think about what happened and don't think about what could happen. You're talking about all the bad things that could happen and you're talking about all the bad things that have happened. And he said, but we're here, me and you together. So just be here with me right now. And then, he's told me I'm always like, my mom even told me this. I would be like, man, I can't wait until this. I can't wait until that. I can't wait. And she was like, you're wishing your life away.
Yeah.
And Zach, my wise son, has said, Mom, you're on a journey. The minute you get off your journey, you're dead. So enjoy the journey. Figure out a way to enjoy the journey without the enemy planting seeds of negativity in your mind. And if he does, you have a choice to not believe it.
Right.
You can change it.
Yep.
You really can.
It's true.
When I first moved to Dallas, I was 24. I had a 2-year-old. Didn't have a job, didn't have a place to live, nothing. I just got in the car and headed down here. And my mom was like, well, what are you going to do if you don't get a job? And I said, I guess I'll go work at Burger King. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I want change.
Yep.
I want change.
Well, and that's also a choice.
It is.
So if you're in a situation where you're not happy, where you feel like you're at a dead end, where you're in a relationship that isn't working, there are all these things, there are all these signs.
Say your favorite thing that I love.
What you're not changing, you're choosing.
Yeah.
That is her. I say it. I think I've said it at every single episode.
Yeah.
What you're not changing, you're choosing. And so what I believe is that you have to get to the place where staying where you are is scarier and more painful than the change before you're willing to make the leap, right?
Yep.
And so let's not get to that place yet. Like why make yourself hit rock bottom and go through so much suffering before you're willing to make a change? You kind of have to stay ahead of it. I would like, these are lessons, of course. I now like to be proactive, and I now like to listen to myself, and I don't put myself in a place of constant distraction and worry and busyness. I used to. And what I realized was that I used to keep myself so busy because I didn't want to have to face my unhappiness and face the areas that I didn't know how to deal with them.
Right.
And so I didn't want to look at them. So keep myself busy and just spiral.
You go and focus on somebody else and, what they need to have fixed so you don't have to look at your
Right.
own ugliness.
Right.
And, gosh, I just had something in my head and it just flew right out of my brain.
It'll
Maybe
come
it'll
back.
come back in a
It'll
minute.
come back.
It was so good, too.
Yeah. Well,
well.
I mean, everything you said is good, so it'll come
thank
back.
you.
It'll come back. But yeah, so really, this. I'm hoping that it comes back. But really, this is just to encourage you and really remind you. And if you've never heard it before, worry and fear and anxiety and all those things, yes, they're real. They are real. They're real emotions and feelings that yes, we know that you can have an actual physical experience feeling that. But what we want to tell you is that you have a choice. You have a choice to diffuse that. You have a choice to turn it around. You have a choice to feed your brain with something that is more positive, that will help to put you in a place that will, like positivity.
Yep.
Positivity. And I don't mean fake positivity. I mean where you actually do believe that, you know what? God is looking out for me. But I always have more than I need.
Yeah.
The solutions, and I have learned this over time, the solutions for me, when I'm not so worried about forcing things to happen, solutions come up easier and quicker. And like, that's the resourcefulness thing.
Right.
You don't have to force things to happen where you feel like you're death gripping things.
Right.
I have made that mistake before.
I have
and
too.
That's when you make the wrong decision.
It's not, you can only control what you can control.
Right.
You can't control what somebody else thinks about you. You can't control some decisions that some people make. All you can do is present and then stand up strong and just whatever you're doing, be able to look yourself in the mirror. But worry, fear, and distractions and anxiety and all that can truly just destroy you. It is a complete waste of time. It does not give you anything.
Yep.
And what the scripture says, don't worry about tomorrow because today's got enough of its own things to think about. So I'm not telling you to worry about today. I want you to think about this day and think about what you have. And if you don't have everything you want, then go get it.
And if you are worried, the thing that I always think about, I think today is like a scripture day.
It is.
Because we keep having all these scriptures.
That's good.
But my favorite one is, and of course I'm going to butcher it right now because now I'm trying to, call it out. But my favorite one is, I think it's Jeremiah 29:11. And it's the one that says, I know the plans I have for you and they're to prosper you.
Yes.
What's the rest of that? They're basically to prosper you, to give you a good life, right?
He wants us to live abundantly.
Yes. So for me, I think those things, if I feel like at any moment I'm going to panic about something, I just think like, I know he wants a good life for me. And I know that I want a good life for me. And I know that it is possible. And I know that I'm resilient. And I know that I'm resourceful. And I know that I have made things happen in the past out of nothing.
Yeah.
And so then I don't have to worry about having to go live in a box under a bridge. No. I don't have to worry about this worst case scenario that our brains, I don't know why they go there, but mine does.
Because the enemy wants you to be in a cold, dark place.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell y'all something. I mean, sometimes bad things do happen, but you still survive them.
Yep.
And you learn lessons from them. And some of them are not easy lessons, but learn the lesson. Be thankful for some of the trials. And there's a scripture in Hebrews, and I can't remember which one it is, but I've got a card that my mom sent to me, and it was back when my middle son had to literally have his entire skull removed when he was 2 years old. And it was such a trying time. And he's my very, very special angel, special needs boy. But my mom said, God must love you so much because he's really testing you right now. And I believe that the test that I've been through in my life is what brought us here today. And
well, we wouldn't have this podcast.
No.
Because if we didn't have anything to say from the lessons and the growth and all of these things that we are putting out there in hopes of inspiring and empowering and encouraging, if we didn't have anything, any of the trials, any of the bad things, any of the divorce and all the stuff,
death,
all the things that we've been through, if we didn't have any of that, what would we be talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
What on earth?
But there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there is so much.
We just want you to know that you're in good company, and we are proof that you can survive and you can come out strong on the other side. And that doesn't mean that there's not another trial down the road, but I know what I was going to say. It just came back.
Yeah.
So with all the trials and everything, and you've heard me say this, I'd no longer say foresight is 2020.
Yes.
I say hindsight is 2020. No, foresight. I said it backwards.
That's backwards.
Hindsight.
Hindsight, yeah.
That's not what I say anymore. I say foresight is 2020, because if you take the things in your life that you've already gone through, I mean, a very, very small example of this is I can look at a recipe card now. I can look at a recipe online or in a magazine or whatever, and I can tell if it's going to be good or not. Sometimes I go ahead and make it and I'm like, I was right. It's not good. And I throw it out. But, well, I don't do that very often anymore. But you really can make hindsight 2020.
Foresight.
Why am I saying that?
I don't know.
Foresight is 2020.
It's foresight.
Like,
but
you can tell.
Yes, you can tell. And she taught me that concept. I mean, at least, probably 2018 when we met, 2018, 2019. But I remember her saying that. And I think that's where where I call it proactive.
Yes.
Where I feel like I can think of something and now I spend a little bit more time on the front end to think through it.
Think about what the potential outcome can be.
Right. And it's being proactive.
I mean, this may sound negative, but think about the worst case scenario.
And do you want that? No. So don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that I pass on. I'm probably a little more cautious about things than most people, but I've had very bizarre, scary things happen.
Yeah.
And so, I carry a can of wasp spray in my car, and it's not for wasps. It's like my concealed weapon that I don't have to have a license for, because it shoots up to 30 feet.
Yes.
But
there have been a few instances where she had to have it in hand, even though, everything turned out to be okay, but she was prepared. It's kind of like offense versus defense.
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is. And just protect yourself.
Yeah.
So,
and one thing I'm going to say, with everything going on in the world today, economy and, all that, we work in real estate, in addition to, of course, all of this. And one of the things that we're hearing now is, people are freaking out and panicking, and people are losing their jobs. They're leaving jobs. And what I'm going to tell you, I understand that people, financially, earning a living, we understand how important that is. Clearly, we know that. But what I want to say is that when I hear that somebody loses a job, I immediately go to, they did you a favor. There's something better waiting for you. Mm-hmm. That's where I used to not be that way, but that's where I go to now. And every single time it always proves to be true. We just had a conversation about a friend of ours and lost her job. And now she's in a fabulous job that she loves even more. And at the moment that thing happened with her previous job, I know it wasn't a happy moment. I know it wasn't. But my very first thing that I said to her was, they did you a favor.
And they really did. And then she took another job and she realized it wasn't her happy place, and she ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yep.
And
yep.
It was hard and it was humbling and it was a little bit humiliating, I think. I think she was a little bit embarrassed. But then she had no reason to be, though. I just want to put that in there. Because I can't say it ever. What you're not changing, you're choosing. And I was so proud of her. And it's just so neat to be around these power chicks that make these moves that are so bold for themselves, designing their own lives and doing it afraid.
Yes. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where we say it's through these experiences that your response time gets faster.
Yeah, and
you learn to just pick up and move on. And if you made the wrong decision, because at the time you felt like it was the right decision, that timing there, it's going to get shortened because you're going to say, nope, I feel it. I feel that this is not right. Now let me move on to the next.
You go out on a date with somebody, you start a new job, anything that you're embarking on, our saying is you spend time with it to see if you want to keep spending more time with it.
Yep.
Nothing is concrete. Nothing is cast in stone. The only things in life that are guaranteed are change, death, and taxes. That's it. Everything else you can change.
Everything else you can change, and it is okay to make a change.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I
I never say anything is forever anymore.
No.
Because I've lived too much life now.
And I also never say I'm not going to ever do that again.
Right.
Because
never say never. Never say forever.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. There is no forever. There is forever.
There is forever, but it's you. It's you.
Yeah, it's you.
It's you. And what you were saying the other day, it's you can't say it is what it is. No, it will become what you choose that it becomes.
Yeah.
Because again, another quote that we use is, you might be handed lemons, but you can make lemonade out of it.
You sure can. You get to choose.
You get to choose.
You get to design your life. I'm in a situation right now where I've been trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
I mean, a round hole. And it's just not sustainable for me. It's not bringing me happiness. It's not bringing me peace. So I am choosing to change and go in another direction because there is just a certain way that I want to spend. I always say I've got more time behind me than I've got in front of me. Either way we slice it. Betty likes to pretend that I'm going to live to be 200.
Well, at least 107.
107.
That's my number.
That's our
107.
goal. 107. So I've got 47 more years.
And I have 62.
Yes. So you have more in front of you than behind you.
That's why I'm not worried.
I've got more behind me than in front of me. So I want to be present in every single moment. And I want every single moment to be as enjoyable as I can make it be.
Right.
So get out there, throw worry, fear, anxiety.
Yeah. Find your peace.
All of that out
Throw
the
it
window.
out.
It's not real.
It's not
It's
real.
not
Find your
real.
peace. And if anything in your life is stealing your peace, love, and joy away from you, that's absolutely something that needs to change. Because man, what we want is a worry-free zone. What we want is just peace. And I know that life happens, and I know that we're human, and I know that not everything is perfect.
Yeah.
But you get to choose. You get to choose where you want to plant your feet. And I do all that I can. If something is disrupting my peace, it's going. I don't want it anywhere near me.
Nope.
I choose me, and I choose peace first.
Yeah. And create your happiness inside of you. Don't depend on somebody else to do that. You can be with somebody who makes you happy and you are happy when you're around them, but don't put that responsibility on them.
Yeah, it's your responsibility.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much on them. So it goes by so fast.
It does. We are so thankful for this podcast, for you spending your time with us. Thank you for your support. Please tell others about our podcast and have them join us. We are relatively new. And so the more support, the better. And I always say, for a party, the more the merrier, right? So let's definitely have more people and join us on this journey. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to address, or if you have any feedback for us, please put that in the comment section below, or you can send us an email. Our email address is hello@bettyandjulz.com, BETTE.
And JULZ.
And until the next episode, thank you so much. And if you haven't watched them all, go binge watch them all.
Yeah.
And then send us an email. Okay.
Yes. We love y'all.
Thank you.
And now you know.
And now you know.
Bye.